Good morning. I am Dr. Paul, and I would talk to you that again. Let's see how we're doing here. I know I'm waiting for all my cameras to come live stream and up. As you know, I do Periscope, Instagram, YouTube, and Instagram, Facebook. Did I say that already? Okay, getting my stuff all mixed up. That's okay. So, welcome to Dr. Paul, and I'm going over the healthy mind. And I'm Dr. Paul Live. So, welcome. So, what we're going to talk about, what we did yesterday, is that we went over the concept of what a wise mind is. And we're going to really dive into it because I had some nice conversations I had yesterday with some people, and some people had was trying to understand a little bit more. I do like to tell you I do have one-on-ones, because one-on-ones is a lot easier when you have a direct question and I can answer you directly. When it comes to something like this is more of an overview, and this way you can understand the concepts. So I like to try to dive in and dig in just a little bit. How you doing, Tom? How's North Dakota treating you? I miss you guys. Tell Kathy I said hello. So we're going over the healthy mind. So going over the healthy mind, we know we did yet last week. We talked about the wise mind, and the wise mind is something. So in this time of crisis, so someone asked me who didn't see last week, why are we going over the healthy mind? Well, this is easy. No, it's not easy, but going through this time of situation, a lot of us is in a what you call form of crisis. Thank you. And a crisis, and we're feeling some sense of depression. That means we're grieving. And in a grieving process, it's there's a way to grieve, and no one's ever taught us how to grieve. No one's ever taught us how we should be able to grieve in our life, so then it can become a new normal, right? I still hear and see, well, not here because I'm not going out, but I still see a lot of things talking about when it goes back to where it was, when it goes back to where it's going to be, when it goes back. Well, your new normal is not going back to the way it is. And that is nothing to be sad about, right? Your new normal, after we come through this, you're going to have a new normal. And that's part of grieving. Grieving, one of the biggest things that we know about grieving is that one, is a journey, and everyone grieves differently. But now understand how you're grieving. Understand not why you're grieving, but how you're grieving, because everyone grieves differently. But don't let people tell you that this is something we should just get over, we should just push through, this is something that we'll get better at. No. What happens is, with the healthy mind, is understanding your historical process of what your mind comes through. Some people are older, some people are younger, so we have different information that comes into the healthy mind. Last week was the rational mind. So as we go into the wise mind is taken from two different areas. It becomes the rational and the emotional. So as it goes through the two, here is where the wise mind is. Remember, it takes in from the two. So if it takes in from the two, that means it's not too emotional, it's not too rational, it brings it in. So why is this very difficult? Well, I'm going to give you the science of how the wise mind process. So we know it comes into rational. So we know we go from what we call brain, frontal lobe, occipital lobe, okay, we'll just put the brain, because I'm not going to put them all because I don't have that big a board. So we have the brain, right? And then we have what you call cognition. Cognition. I have a horrible spell. So we have cognition, and brain science and neuroscience. Do your research on that. This is where your logic comes in. This is where your thinking comes in. This is where your attention comes in. This is where your perception comes in. This is all part of that rational process that we talked about last week. And then over here, we still have the brain, right? But then we have what you call the emotional center, right? So we have our pineal gland. We have our hippocampus. We have the amygdala, right? We have this process. Along with that, we have our heart, which is we're going to put the physical body. And then we have the spiritual body. Okay, so we have the spiritual body. You have things that you are spiritual about, things you're connected to, things of all the. So these are the things that. So then, after that, we have all this coming down into the wise body. So with the physical, we have with the physical, and then the heart, we have vibration. Because all this is vibration. These are signals. Vibration, right? Waveform, they're both the same, okay? So these are the things, and this is the information coming in, okay? And this is the wise body mind, okay? With that, welcome. Hey, Big Mac. So if you're talking about the healthy mind, and you have the wise mind. And the wise mind is the connection between the rational mind and the emotional mind. Okay? If you have any questions, just pop it into your comment. I'll be able to read it. I got a couple things going on, so if you have any questions, I don't want to lose you. I just want to get right into this, right? So you have rational, the emotional, and the wise, and it has formed together. So under the rational, you have brain and cognition. The cognition and neuroscience. So the neuroscience is positive thinking, receptors, synapses, how the brain fires in the rational part or the frontal part of the brain. Then you have the emotional part of the brain, right? And we're going to do emotional next Monday, starting next Monday. You still have the pineal gland, the hippocampus, the amygdala, and another signal on how this formulates in, right? All this is driving in information. Then you have the physical body. You have the heart. You have different receptors in our hands. And this is why we do handshakes and hugs and we touch the earth and we walk on the ground and we swim in the ocean. Remember, the earth is a living thing, right? And then we have the spiritual being, and this is what's always connected to the up, right? So things are connected to your higher level, your cosmos, your higher God, your service above all else, right? So and over here still with the wise mind, then you come into what you call consciousness, right? Not subconsciousness, consciousness. And consciousness is done in the pyramid, right? You have lower level of consciousness, which is only survival, and you have higher level of consciousness, which is service to other. Okay, so as you're pulling from all these both areas, pulling into the wise mind regulates all that at once. That's the wise mind. And after the wise mind, then it becomes, what you say, action. Now, is it tough for us to bounce or balance? Because this is what this is, right? it's the balance of both worlds, not dualism, right? So you're not living in a dualistic world, right? You're living in a singular form world, just that everything is coming in together as one. This is why we say you need to develop a practice, training, and a faith. There's more to that. There's a practice, there's a training, and then there's faith. When you're balancing all this, someone had asked me and said, Dr. Paul, how do you understand which direction you're being pulled from? You don't worry about which direction, you worry about how you don't worry at all, but you balance it out at how it enters your body. You remember, I talked about this during the rational mind, and in your mind, you do have a light bulb that goes on and off. You do have a signal within the body, and those are called feelings. Okay? Your feelings are connected to you. If your feelings are only connected to the external, then you're probably feeling other people. You know, some people are empathic. Some people can feel, everyone can feel everyone else. It's whether you choose to. It's whether you block it. And this is where it comes down to, there's different, thank you, there's different ways that we can understand how we're feeling, and then there's different practices, the Brahmana, or like I said, I mentioned yesterday, the Wuji, or the Tao, or Christ, we have connection. That's what that spirituality is. We have connection, and who's the connecting to ourselves? Understanding these connections, bringing into the cognition, right, of how we think and how our language is, what our human intelligence is, what's our memory like, what's our attention like, our spirituality, what we've learned to be connected to, what we've developed our connection to, right? Because we have a connection, right? We can develop a connection. The one thing, I've talked about constructs before, and to realize what are the things that happen to you. Did you adapt something, absorb something, or did you attain something? Okay? Now, different ways we live our lives. Adapt, absorb, obtain. They're all forms of learning, yes. But there's ways that we tend to not understand how we got to our understanding. Hey Gerard, how you doing? A good friend of mine down in Atlanta. I hope everything. I just want to say, I hope everyone's family and blessings are good. Thank you guys for all popping on. I do this every morning at 7 a.m. because I don't want to take up too much of your time. We're going over the healthy mind. This week is the wise mind. Last week was the rational mind. Next week is going to be the emotional mind. And then but right now I'm bringing in how it works. Okay, so when you adapt, absorb, or attain, things are taught to you either by the environment, experience, education. Those 5 E's, go back to it. I don't want to go over it. But those things can be blocks or they can be pluses. And if they're blocks, that means your construct. Did you develop your own personal construct? Because if someone gave you what you should be thinking, how you should be thinking, how you react, because I hear this all the time. Well, I do this because I was brought up this way. Okay, so what did you develop? Well, I got this because this is what my neighborhood was like, or this is what my school was like. This is how we do it. Who do it? To develop who you are is the healthy mind. We can go out and buy a car, and it's made by manufacturing, and I am not mechanical at all, and I'm not building a car, but I can build my mind. And you can build your mind by your own process. your own developing your own synapses, meaning that's what signals go and connect to the other parts of the body, right? Because the body is still a physical vessel, right? It's just a physical. If it's just a physical vessel, that means you have input on what goes into you. Developing your what you call the meta-human, developing this whole human being. That's why I do a lot of my practice. This is called whole health. Is for you to understand how you are. Whether you want to change it or not understanding who and what you are, then you're not developing, you're just being processed. Be the creator, not the creator, okay? Don't put yourself into what you call godlike, but be the creator, right? Because that's part of rational. So if you come over here in rational, when we talk about the brain and cognition, we talk about the hemispheres, the left side, the right side, right? If you want to look up what's a left brain thinker and the right brain thinker, that's part of cognition, right? The creative, you got to bring them both together. You got to be able to bounce back both hemispheres, right? To go to the spiritual side, understand how you're connected and how it comes into your balance and your action. That's development. If this is just taught to you, then you become one of those Jim Joneses that just drinks the Kool-Aid and I'm all good. So who says this? Well, he said it and I believe him or her or them. So you don't want to do that. You want to understand how it feels for you, how it connects to you. And in this time of perspective, and this is what it is, we're in a time of perspection, right? Understand who you are. This is the development of who you are. Because when we come out of this, we should be in the gate to ready to blow and to be better, right? Because maybe we just wasn't doing what we're supposed to do. Yeah, there's a blood thing, but maybe we're just not supposed to be better. Maybe we're better dads. Maybe we're better people. Maybe we're better, maybe we're better in ourselves, right? Maybe we understand that crime can be avoided. Maybe we understand that we can be conservative. Just maybe we can be better. And so when you develop your spiritual self, your connection to yourself, to all things, right? All things matter, right? And then you have your physical self, understanding your vibration, understanding your heart, understanding your consciousness, understanding your higher consciousness, understanding where you are in your consciousness development, right? Because in brain science or behavior science, we know the majority of people live 82% from subconscious. Everything is reactionary. Everything is done from rehashing how it was done before. Okay, even on the road, the driving, the Department of Transportation says 94% of all accidents are caused by subconscious behavior. They've done the study. I just read the study. They've done the study. So then when you come down to the emotion, so you have the different glands in the things that fire, right? And we'll talk about that next week. And then you have still we talked about, asked about this yesterday about freeze, fight, or flight. That comes back into the emotional. We have higher emotional beings. We are a higher emotional being. So we don't have to result back into the primal mystic, the prime of just safety, security, and food. Okay, so this is why the wise mind brings it all in. Okay, someone had asked me, and I'm going to cut this pretty short. I had some questions yesterday. They said, well, how do you develop to be a wise mind? It was one of my questions, and I thought it would be a great thing. Well, how I personally develop is that because I've been practicing martial arts for such a long time, and this is part of our understanding of how we are as human beings. I got a great question. So you have to be careful of whom you connect with and what you connect with. You can plug a 15-watt bulb and a 100-watt, and yeah. So someone says, and I paraphrase it. Thanks, Mac. that you got to be careful of who, was it Mac? Yeah, you got to be careful of who you connect with. Well, this is all this is the wise mind. You will understand how you are being connected to. And this is why it pulls from the rational and emotional and the physical and the spiritual. Because as your signals go out, remember how it's coming into your body and how you're connected to it, okay? Because that's understanding, is it coming from someone else or is this coming from me? Is this sadness coming from the cashier or is the sadness coming from what I just went through? The cognitive effects of the physical, spiritual. Yes, that's something that we should definitely study, and I want you to study a lot on your own. So going back to, doing a martial artist or doing any exercise, I was riding my bike yesterday, and as I was riding on the road and I'm pedaling, I was thinking about wind, road, the environment itself, but it's also metaphorically of how we are pushing through what we are as individuals in a life of what we have developed. You can do that through a practice, through a meditative practice, through a spiritual practice, but combine them all, okay? I hope you did your exercising. I hope you did your prayers, your meditation. I hope this is helpful for you. If you have any questions, you can always email me or put it in the comment box when you watch it again, or share it with your friends. Every 7 a.m. I'm going to be here talking about the healthy mind. Tomorrow we're going to go over, we're going to get inside the body of the cellular part of the wise mind. We're going to get into the cellular. That's what I like to do, because I like to do, if you understand how this is affecting you on all levels, right? This is how it comes in. Now we're going to get inside the body. Wish you guys well, many blessings, and I love you all, and I hope, and I know that we'll do great. And I did get this comment yesterday from YouTube, which is great. It says, so please stay at home, stay safe, stay blessed, and be blessed. Thank you so much.